Hey everybody, this is True Demon, the Devil's Stockbroker. I'm going to do a little bit of a TA live stream on some of the tickers that are moving this afternoon. Um, we got some surprises coming from Progenity after volume came back into the stock. So Progenity had this falling wedge that we've been sitting in for better part of better part of a month, 2 months, and we've now finally had a solid breakout. So I'm pretty excited. Finally seeing some action in Progenity. And just like I said, as soon as we exited out of that zone of demand, that 160 just popped right away. Now we've got volume coming back into the stock. Very exciting. If we can see a little bit of a ramp coming in, maybe we'll get a little bit of consolidation going down between this zone of 180 to $2 for a while before we see our next big move. But this nice strong bull flag finally breaking out is basically what I've been waiting for this whole time. OBV is still not moving though. The volume is not as significant as we want, or would indicate a major move. But at the very least, now that the price has popped a bit, it's bound to get some attention. Take a look at this on the 15-minute. So this is actually looking very similar to how Progenity's daily chart looked like back in September. It's a lot of consolidation. And then as soon as we have that breakout of that wedge, just can't stop it. This was the major resistance that we wanted to break. So this is what we've been waiting for, this 160 mark. Now that we've broken that, we can safely assume that that's now become our support. And we have this ascending level of support here, just based off of the higher lows that Progenity has been establishing. So this area, this 160 to 165, has been a continuous ceiling for us, and now that we've shattered through that, we need to go and find our next level of resistance, which it looks like we're already at. It'll be right here, based off of these lower lows that Progenity created. Oops, back down here. So Progenity's 1, 2, 3 bounces off of 178 or 180, I should say. That'll create some pretty heavy resistance for us moving up here. So if you're looking to get out of some calls or roll them out, this is actually a pretty good time to do it. I myself have about 30 call contracts in Progenity for next Friday that are now they're doing really well actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my profits on those. I'll take uh, I'll take 60% of those out of there, lock in some of those profits. So I got 30 calls. I'm gonna sell 20 of them, see if I can get a fill at 8 cents, and just make sure that I'm securing my bags. And then I'll let the house's money play with the rest and see what happens. Maybe we break this resistance. Maybe we retrace a little bit. We'll find out. So while we're talking about Progenity, there was actually some pretty excellent news that came out as well. This was pointed out to me in the Discord. So this was an interesting communication that came from the University of Utah. COVID linked to serious health complications during pregnancy. Shout out to Savvy Trading that went and found this. Medical doctor Tori D. Metz was doing some research at the University of Utah, and there was some interesting connections between some grants. There was mention that they received some fees and grants from Pfizer as well as grants from Guest Vision, and then an assistant researcher received personal fees from Merck, and one more, Alan Tita, received grants from Pfizer. And if you notice, we have an honorable mention here where there was a relationship established between Major Constantine, Baxter International, Momentum Pharmaceuticals, Progenity, AMAG Pharmaceuticals, and OBS Eva. So these are required disclosures of conflicts of interest based on grant money that was issued to researchers. So this is an interesting piece of information that Progenity was included in this disclosure alongside Pfizer. And Pfizer, as I recall, has not invested entirely too much into pregnancy complications research, but given that they have their mRNA vaccines that are getting more and more attention, obviously in response to treating COVID and preventing it. And we know that Progenity is also deep into this research as well with their Precludia product. So, because of that, there's an assumed relationship here. So, just one more little piece to the puzzle in linking Pfizer and Progenity together. We got AMC. AMC was moving. Definitely have to go and check out AMC. Ooh, wow. That's what I'm talking about. Testing the upper limits of this falling wedge. We've been watching this wedge for a long time. Ever since we established this wedge right here, this falling wedge bounced off of these lows. This is looking like a really solid entry. I really like this setup. So here we have a large narrowing channel that AMC formed ever since the June run, and that's slowly been getting tighter and tighter and tighter. We broke below it for the first and only time back in late January, and we've been below it ever since. But we also formed this falling wedge, which is a very bullish signal. This is typically referred to as a falling wedge or a bull wedge. The idea being that they usually break up and out and then create momentum. And with us having broken down to the bottom of it, and then now we're testing the upper limits, a breakout here of this wedge would also mean re-entry into this channel here. And we only very briefly broke out of it. So if there was any time that AMC was going to break down, this would have been it. Like if we were ever going to see AMC knocked back down to like sub $10, that would have been the time. And they just couldn't do it. They couldn't push it down even past the 14 the $14 mark, which if you remember there was a huge battle for $14 right here right about the time just before the June squeeze back in late May. So now a big re-entry here. This is what I'm waiting for. Let's go take a look at one more time frame on the daily because we want to look at the OBB. This is the proper OBB that I had set up. So AMC's history is long downtrend, breakdown below the on balance volume. There's either a channel or a wedge, break down below, and then break up and through, and then suddenly the stock runs. From January all the way through to May, did the same thing, formed a big consolidation wedge with the on balance volume, broke down below, and then up and out, and then squeeze immediately afterwards. And note that the breakout gave plenty of warning. There was plenty of consolidation here for people to make an entry. So there was ample signals and an ample amount of time to make a decision on when you were going to make an entry point. So if you're looking at this chart and thinking like, "Oh, I could run any day," don't rush, don't panic, and don't feel like you need to make your trade right now. Don't do that. Like, be patient. It's not just going to take off without you without showing some signs. So let's look at this most recent wedge. Big zigzag wedge on the on balance volume, and we had a big breakdown below. This is the lowest point that it made. And uh, considering that the previous squeeze, when the OBB broke down, it only broke down to the halfway point of its previous low in that wedge. So there's a difference of about 1.5, 150 million shares on balance. This one's a difference of 500, where we're currently at just in between these two, this valley and this peak. So when AMC starts to move again, when we see the OBV climb through both of these lines, and I have alerts set on these so people get plenty of warning. I'll let everybody know because I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know what's going on with AMC. I'm not gonna like keep this a secret or anything. When these alerts hit, trust me, the whole world, all the Twitter followers and the whole Discord, everyone's gonna know. So for right now, still staying patient. The reason being is because I'm still playing options. My shares are not going anywhere, but the options gotta be they gotta be well timed. Um, the other thing that I'll also point out with my AMC chart, this is a little bit tinfoil hatty, but I don't know. It makes sense to me. So there's this time frame from the peak of the of where it was back in late November down to the high point in January, the peak of the squeeze. And then from here, the peak of this squeeze to the peak of the next squeeze from January all the way to the June 3rd was this yellow bar here. And then this is our current time frame based on what I drew out here. So what I did was I took this little time frame, this rectangle you see here, and I moved it over here, and then I doubled it and put them side by side. And what you notice is that it's exactly the same size as this time frame, which I put right here. These are almost exactly the same size, just give or take about 2 or 3 trading days. So what I did was I doubled that and I created this time frame, which, as you will note, TradingView makes this move really, really slowly. So if we look at the peak of the squeeze back here, the time frame right here, I have a feeling that we're going to see a big move coming up here in a few days. So if my tinfoil hat theory of how this algorithm is trading, then I'm expecting that in a matter of days, just any day now, we'll start to see big moves in the price. And if this confirms it, then I'm betting that this time frame is going to end up being accurate, that the peak of the squeeze will be coming. But I don't know anything. Like this is entirely like this is the most tinfoil hat thing that I can possibly come up with. Like there's no guideline, there's nothing about this in any trading books anywhere that I know of. So like there's no precedent for this. We're literally trying to predict what an algorithm is going to do, whatever a computer is going to do. Um, the one thing that I think that I have an advantage as a human is pattern recognition and being able to see things happening in repeated patterns. Humans are exceptionally good at doing this. So if and computers are very consistent in the way that they approach all problems. Computers are very consistent because they're programmed with functions. It's all math. It's all mathematical functions. Humans are a lot more chaotic in our responses, but we still even fall into patterns and are predictable in many ways. I really strongly feel that computer algorithms are even more so predictable if we can just spot the patterns. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the beginning of this or the very end of this time frame to signal the beginning of the run, and then if it holds true, then I'm expecting us to cross both of these lines on the OBV. So basically, as soon as we cross 5 billion, 5.2 billion shares on balance on the daily chart for AMC, that's my buy signal. I'm gonna throw all my stupid YOLO money at AMC, and we'll see what happens in the next 30 trading days. GME is doing the same thing with its price, but the OBV is just like not moving. Oh no, I see it. I see it. There is a wedge here. There is a wedge here. It's doing the same thing. It's really small because GME trades a much smaller amount of volume, but it's there. Like it's distinctly there. See that little curl down and then the second one below that? That's the same pattern that AMC's OBV did. Just a perfect little consolidation wedge on OBV. I don't know if any technical traders do this with OBV, but screw it, I'm doing it. Let's go ahead and set our alert. All right. Oh, I forgot one more, BBIG. BBIG is consolidating right now. A little bit of consolidation to the downside. I'm looking for it to bounce here at this rising support here. Um, so somewhere around $3. We're basically right there. So I'm looking for the bounce to happen somewhere on the somewhere this week. Might be sooner rather than later, but I am expecting a bounce this week. I have no options in BBIG anymore for this week. I've gone ahead and liquidated everything that was worthwhile. I, uh, I do think that I have like a few worthless ones that are like still like 1 cent because I went and bought them up here like an idiot. So those are all like those are just gone. But my target currently is for mid March, March 18th monthlies. And that's it.